Welcome to, what would this be, episode 3 of this new Epiphany series. It's amazing how things are contrasted. Today, the weather is a beautiful example that also reflects the duality of this realm. One moment it's bright sunshine, the next moment it's raining, it's passing showers, and it brightens up. I can hold disappointment at the rain, but why should I? Because nature can water all the crops and things, all the seeds that I've sown, far better than I could ever do it. It's a perfect external reflection, shall we say, of if you surrender your lower conscious mind that is trying to problem solve what it perceives as a problem and just gives it over to the universe, how it is solved for you. That's a good blueprint to apply to every aspect of your life. I wish in this video to talk more about Junus or Eunice, but before I do that, I would like to begin with a song interpretation. It's the first of 4 songs I will be interpreting in video, the lyrics of these songs, and we're bringing other things as we go. It can't be helped. This is the thing with whatever we try and talk about. And I find this very much on video, it's so easy to go off on a tangent and then trying to bring yourself back to center. Again, look how that repeats in the external world, how you're pulled in this direction, you're pulled in that direction by what we give attention to, where our focus goes, what draws us in a particular direction. So it makes it very difficult to stay on the path, as it were, but it all adds to the rich tapestry and it brings in more and more. I also wish to say a big thank you. I've had quite a flood of emails since making the video where I said, what is your question? How are you going to know until you ask? So there's been response to that, and it's beautiful to get the feedback that when you've told me of a situation, how I can look at it and give you a more positive aspect, or show you the way to open it inside yourself to find it, to find that inner peace. It is about a balance between the external and the internal. Whilst it is of primary importance to find that balance within oneself, that can be reinforced in the external. So if we put this into a sort of mundane daily context, if you have a room and you keep throwing things in it, it becomes cluttered. There comes a point where you need to have a sort out and go through things. The longer you've left it, obviously, the bigger the task will become. And that also repeats in this reality. We're given so many signs in so many ways, but how often can we perceive beyond that superficial level of something we would perceive as a problem? Because there is a lesson in everything. Everything is a reflection. Right, we come on to the song, the first of these 4 songs, and then I'll talk a little bit more about Eunice and how this is going to affect you if it is not already, which I feel most of you are sensing something and feeling something. But we'll come on to that towards the end of this video. I haven't forgotten about where I asked the question, how determined are you? That I will cover in a future video. That's just come back in the mind. But I feel I'll allow you to ponder determination and determined and what they mean. So, the first of 4 songs. So it's basically I'm creating a symphony. Now the group and the singer are called Toyah. So first of all, let's look at that. You could interpret that as to Yah or to why, to find out the reason why and be able to say ah. When you have that aha moment, when the penny drops, as it were, and that's what is being reflected at me. Now I see it, but I couldn't see it before. So, interestingly, the group Toyah produced a 7-inch vinyl, an EP with 4 songs on it. And it was called 4 from Toyah. That was followed up by another EP a little bit later on. This is in the early 80s. And that was called 4 More from Toyah. Interesting, the number 4 comes up again. That's something I feel I need to explain in a separate video. So I'm now going to offer you the first of 4 parts, which is 4 More from Toyah in Esoteric interpretation. So first off, we're going to start with what is probably the most well-known song by Toyah, written by Toyah Wilcox. The art spirit is definitely channeling through Toyah Wilcox. That I can tell you without any hesitation, because there are so many songs I could probably go through her entire catalogue of songs and give you an esoteric interpretation of what is being said. But we'll start with this, probably the most well-known song by Toyah, which is called It's a Mystery. The mystery is exactly what it is. It's when we turn the quest eye on. Actually, but a little thing has flashed into my mind. The previous video where I did the breakdown of REM, Losing My Religion, the line, I'm choosing my confessions. So I'm doing that right now because I'm choosing what to relay to you and try and put it into a cohesive order. Although I'd say I've touched on talking about this song, It's a Mystery, and haven't quite got there yet. But again, it's just reflection. There's a divine comedy to all of it as well. So the mystery, it's when you question, when you're sort of aware of something, when you turn that quest eye on. That was the other point. The REM, rapid eye movement. Consider I as in singular. I could reinterpret that, interpret REM as referring to the letter Ra, which you would pronounce as a letter R, but it's actually Ra. It's Ra energy magnetized. As much as it is rapid eye movement, it is spiritual downloads and coming through the mind's eye at such a phenomenal rate that the human conscious mind has to digest this and allow it to come in its own time. Finally, we are going to get to these song lyrics. So I'm just going to read it straight through and then we'll go back over some key points in it. This may have a familiar ring as I read this, when I take it out the context of the music and you just hear the words. Somewhere in the distance, hidden from my view, suspended in the atmosphere, waiting to come through. Sometimes it's so far away, sometimes it's very near. A sound being carried by the wind, just loud enough to hear. I feel its power within me, bells ringing in my head. So often I have heard its cry, then forgotten what it said. And then we come to the chorus. It's a mystery, it's a mystery. I'm still searching for a clue. Oh, it's a mystery to me. A shot in the dark, the big question mark in history. Is it a mystery to you? It can treat you with a vengeance, trip you in the dark. Sirens in the distance can steer you from your path. It can lift you to the heavens, put your troubles in the past, whisper the elixir, then vanish in a blast. And then we go back to the chorus. It's a mystery, it's a mystery. I'm still searching for a clue. Oh, it's a mystery to me. Is it a mystery to you? Well, no, it's no great mystery to me. Not now. This is basically alluding to this spiritual presence which I call Junus, that is all around, in everything, passes through everything, including these physical bodies. Hence you're getting these downloads and these strange feelings, particularly at the moment. The solar eclipse was hyped up on the 8th of April, but it was a symbolic marker, and it is unfolding. So somewhere in the distance, hidden from my view, because it is metaphysical, it is not something that you can see with the physical eyes in the external. You can see the action of it when you can see the beauty in timing. Suspended in the atmosphere, waiting to come through. What is stopping it coming through? It's suspended in the atmosphere. I can almost see it and feel it in the nothingness that the five senses can't detect. I can feel it. I can certainly feel it within me. I can feel it in every molecule that I can't even see with the physical eyes all around me. Sometimes it's so far away. Sometimes it's very near. So it's within and without. It's everything and yet it is nothing. A sound being carried by the wind. Now listen carefully. A sound being carried by the wind. Now how do you interpret that? Is it a sound being carried by the wind, or is it a sound being carried by the wind? Are we talking about some sort of energy, some sort of being that is a vibration? So you can hear in that there's a duality in how you hear it. Anyway, just loud enough to hear. So it's something you can detect, like an inner voice. It's just loud enough to hear if you are open to receive. I feel its power within me. Well, I can confirm that. Bells ringing in my head. When something strikes a chord, think of bell towers attached to religious buildings. When something sparks inside you would be another way of interpreting this. The bells ringing in your head. It's like aha, that aha moment again. So often I have heard its cry, but forgotten what it said. This is really referring to when we reincarnate and go through these birth-to-death experiences. And of course, the memory is wiped clean. You're left with a residual inner knowing that is systemed out of you to go into that negative default programming, and you lose that childlike wonder that you come into this reality with, when you actually know far more when you are first born than you do many years later. It's a mystery, it's a mystery. I'm still searching for a clue. Oh, it's a mystery to me. It comes down to, you'll notice it says it's a mystery, it's twice, because we're in a realm of perceived duality. It's as much a mystery as it is my story, you could say. And when I say my story, I don't refer specifically to this physical being. I'm reflecting that it also applies to you as well, you as the individual. It would be totally unfair if any of us came back with the full memory of life experiences from a previous incarnation. It would be an unfair advantage over everybody else. And look at the way this reality and the route that humanity seems to be going down, or is being coerced to go down, is perceived as not possibly the best route. The fear and terror of human consciousness being linked to artificial intelligence and losing your identity. Straight away has popped into my head, Neville Goddard, there is no loss of identity. Anyway, we'll get back to the song and I'll come back to that. A shot in the dark. That's when you, if we put it into a physical term, if you're firing a gun into the darkness, just to see, it's like a test firing. Stepping into the unknown, not knowing what is going to follow from that, losing the fear to be able to do that. The big question mark in history, the big question mark in his story. Whose story is it? I wouldn't even worry about history because it is past, but if you are curious, then just go and listen to Archaic's channel. You've got the entire chronology of the known time span of humanity there, shown from multiple vantage points. I seem to remember Jason said that it might be what is known as the biblical flood. There's 61 references to that alone. So I don't feel that's even needs to be questioned at all. It can treat you with a vengeance. Consider, reflect on your own life, how these things that you would perceive as mistakes, that saying about it comes back and bites you on the bum. That's another way of saying it. Trip you in the dark. Well, when you're in the dark, you can't see so well. It's unfamiliar. It's not as you would see it if you see it in daylight. Sirens in the distance can steer you from the path. Well, is it coincidence that the word siren applies to these mythical female beings who would lure sailors where there was rocks and it would capsize the ship or it would run aground? Think in the modern day context how the word siren has been used, particularly since 2020. I feel you can gather enough from me just saying that and about the word siren as well. It can lift you to the heavens, put your troubles in the past. Now notice, it can treat you with a vengeance in the first line. There's your rain cloud. But now you have the blue skies and sunshine, because the contrast is it can lift you to the heavens, put your troubles in the past. So all the things that you perceive as bad, as being the victim. Let it all go. Have gratitude that these experiences have come to you because they have brought you to where you are now. Whether you perceive them as good or bad is quite neutral, but it is all there to guide you. It's just our perception on the things. Hence, as a perfect example of this right now, I'm giving you an interpretation, a perspective on the lyrics of the song. Does it make it true? That is for you to weigh up inside yourself. It can whisper the elixir, then vanish in a blast. Well, again, I can use personal testimony to do with this, with my experiences since April the 6th. But to sort of conclude the song, It's a Mystery, it asks, is it a mystery to you? Because to me, I feel it is no longer a great mystery. It is an unlocking, it is a stepping through. Just as if you consider walking through mist or cloud, as you walk, whereas if you would walk through nature where it's overgrown, you could look behind you, you can see the path you have made. That doesn't apply with mist. It closes in all around you again. It is the cloud, the shroud, where you start stepping into the metaphysical realm, and where that mist closes in behind you is part of a process of letting go of the worries and concerns of this reality. And I have found personally that what comes with that, the further you step behind the veil, as it were, that you lose a lot of conscious memory of past events. But as another example, I have to, when I make a video, there's obviously finite space with a memory card on this device, so periodically I have to go through, check I have enough memory before I make a video, which means sacrificing previous videos. But I don't need to keep them, because think about how the Google Cloud operates. You've got a device, it is taking a download from this cloud, this invisible thing. Even the perceived evil or dark side has an interpretation of this spiritual esoteric knowledge that would seem to be outside of yourself, that you can draw upon and come through spiritual downloads. So it works in exactly the same way. Same blueprint with you're downloading things through a device, because you've effectively got a new sense to decode what you couldn't decode. As I speak, there are probably radio waves and Wi-Fi messages passing through the ether that I can't detect. Television stations are broadcasting and they are on air. Radio stations are on air. It is passing through the air, but without the equipment, or if it's outside the sensory range of the 5 senses in the external, how do we know it's there? And yet it is there, and it is provably there. You've only got to switch a television or a radio on, or even a device like a mobile phone or a cell phone, and you'll see that is readily apparent. I just had a lovely message picking up on I used the word seemingly, and I could say that the seam is that piercing through the veil, the seeming lie, when you don't penetrate the veil, but when you pass through that veil, you can see that this external reality is all an illusion, it is all a lie. But because we have these limited range senses, these are things that are outside the scope of those senses. However, the universe is you inverse. So when you turn inwards, that is when a whole new reality, a whole new universe that is far more infinite, far greater, will come through. It is within you the power to unlock this. This is why you get this very, what would seem to be a very confusing saying about you already have all the answers inside you. How often have you heard that? How often has the conscious mind thought, rather perplexed? Because it's a layer of perspex, you could say, another layer of the veil. The conscious mind will think, well, I don't know everything, and then starts feeling it needs to know the height of Snowdon or the height of Everest, the volume in cubic meters of the Pacific Ocean, and so on and so on. These are all man-made measurements. Do we really need to know all that? Do we need to fill our minds with all that clutter? So it's a letting go process. It's a making space within inside oneself by letting go to allow new things to come in exactly the same way we do it in this physical reality. You may want a new piece of furniture, but to accommodate that piece of furniture, you may have to discard some other things or give them away or sell them or whatever. Making way for something new. It is expressed in that little rhyme about getting married: something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Specifically blue because it is associated with divine feminine. So there's your first movement of another four more from Toyah, shall we say, in esoteric interpretation. To give you a little peek into the other three movements, as I'm calling them, because I'm seeing this in terms of like a symphony. The second part is called Angel and Me. The third part is the song called The Pact. And then it will culminate in the fourth movement, which is the song Brave New World. You could, in a way, what you could say I'm giving you here is like a new book for a Bible. We could call this the Book of Toyah. And it is self-referencing across the songs, which will become apparent as I give you the next three parts to this. So I hope that has given you a new perspective, a new way to look at things and look inside yourself. This realm is all smoke and mirrors. I will come on to that in a future video and give you a lot more about that. But on a final note, going back to talking about Junus, the way I would, I suppose, describe this, you could see this as having that same pyramid structure of delegation through the ranks, but so you could say this is the oversoul directly stepping in to correct something by giving birth between Venus and Jupiter to create Junus, which is like a new sun. So you could say it is a second coming. Now, if you get these strange sensations or these spiritual downloads, you'll probably find you'll have a period of, shall we say, calm before the storm, where some days seem very flat and it's like, oh, what's happened to the spiritual connection? That's the digestion process. But if we look at this in terms of a newborn child, which effectively is what Junus is. With a baby, there are what you would call milestones. When that baby learns to be able to turn itself over, learns to crawl, learns to walk the first steps, um, being able to feed itself, and so on and so on. So these milestones are actually smile tones. It doesn't have the same linear time development as a human baby, but it follows the same pattern. So don't be surprised if you'll get a sudden whoosh of a spiritual download that will just hit you all of a sudden, or you'll get these sensations that you feel physical, and it's like, oh, where's that come from? What's causing that? Just know that it is nothing to be fearful of. It is just a communication which will unfold, just like with physical food, where we have to take time to allow it to digest, to settle inside ourselves, so we can start with the physical body, drawing out the bits it needs, and then letting go of what is classed as waste, as excrement in this case. Sorry to be so graphic, but even in that, take out the intermediary. Don't flush your life away down the toilet, because from that is transmutation. From that is providing nutrients. So I would say give it back direct to Mother Earth, and give it directly back to nature. The alternative is you flush it down the toilet. It will be chemically treated, that water, and it will be sold back to you and told it is good for you. Make of that what you will. Again, I don't want you to feel that, oh no, I'm living in a city and I can't do anything about it. It's about finding balance, about finding what you can change in your life and what you can't change in your life, and finding the balance between the two. But if you import fear of, oh, the water's not good for me that's coming out the taps, well, those thoughts will manifest physically in the body, and that is what will make you feel ill. So it is realignment within oneself to unlock the mystery within inside oneself. Consider that you don't consciously control your organs. So you are already within a biological machine. This whole fear of being hooked up to a artificial intelligence. Again, I ask you, where did that idea originally come from, and upon what is it based? Consider and reflect on all these things. So, whilst I've had, just as a closing piece here, whilst I've had an influx of emails, the cup is half full. So there is plenty of room if you just want to get things off your chest, if you want to look at your situation and give you a more balanced, positive perception of it, because I can find within whatever you relay to me, I will be able to find a positive, and I will be able to give you the keys, or show you where the keys are within inside yourself, to unlock a doorway which will take you on a more tranquil, a more positive path than being in that negative, fearful route that you may feel that you're on. So I invite you to get in contact if you're struggling at the moment in any way whatsoever, and let's work some magic and find that new creative burst that is just within you. It will be planting a seed and ensuring that the soil for that seed is fertile so that seed can grow. It is the spiritual growth. So I'm going to end here and say love to you all, and there will be the second part of this another 4 from Toyah, as it were. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, regardless of what time of day it is. May it be a good one for you. Love to you all.